Earlier this summer, Team Ostium had the chance to sit down and have a nice long chat. You'll get to hear from Georgia Mckenzie, who performs the character Monica, Chris Fletcher, who performs the character Jake, and myself, Alex C. Telander. I write and produce the show, and also do the voice of Dave/Steve. In the second part of this special Behind the Ostium, we have a full-on Q&A session, as we attempt to answer fan questions, as well as some tricky ones I came up with to try and stump them. If you enjoy this chat, you should really consider becoming a patron of Ostium. For just $2 a month, you can get access to the entire Behind the Ostium series. We cover all of Season 1, as Dwayne and I talk about each episode, and right now we're working through our world-building series. You'll also get access to all the Ostium files, with new ones coming, outtakes, and lots more. Plus, by supporting Ostium, you'll help fund the show and help pay our actors. You can find all this and more at patreon.com/OstiumPodcast. That's enough of me. Here's the second part of our special Behind the Ostium with Team Ostium. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the Q&A.
Q&A?
So first I'm going to steal a line from...
I can't answer any questions on the grounds that it might include...
Cut it out later. We won't cut anything out.
Cut a lot out.
I'm stealing this from TuneIn.up. They always start their episode with a shining moment.
Okay.
So, Chris, what was your high point?
The shining moment?
A high point, well, I guess you already kind of said yesterday was your first day, or whatever it was, but
right.
A high point of the year for you.
When the two creepy twin girls came in. But, oh, no, not that kind of shining moment.
The
shining moment.
The shining moment.
Yes, right. Shining moment would be end of the school year, being able to do whatever the heck I want for the next 2.5 months, and being able to
to do more stuff
you
like to do. I mean, nothing you did in life school, but have the time to do really what you enjoy.
Indeed, yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting the season 5 recorded, and then work on some music projects. And I've got a friend who is coming to visit. We're going to write some songs together. So
cool.
Looking forward to that. There's Seth and Julian.
Okay.
And so maybe the three of us will get together and do a little reunion of our college days band.
Performances at the market again? Maybe?
I don't know. Yeah.
When's the last time you did some music?
I haven't played live in a long time, but
well, just in general, like playing music and stuff. Do you still do that whenever you get a free chance?
When I get a free chance, which means last summer was the last time.
Oh my gosh!
Well,
at least you never forget.
No, yeah. Every once in a while.
And you want to get on hankings for a new instrument?
My brother wants to write a song with a banjo in it.
So why?
I don't know.
He's feeling that Mississippi.
It's a
Steve Martin
train
thing
song,
too, right? Yeah.
So the weird thing is, in my life, I've been told now about 5 times I look like Steve Martin, and I was never told it until I was 20. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so
not that I've met Steve Martin, but he seems like a short.
I had totally dark hair, and I was.
Or is it because he's always performing with Martin Short?
20. Who is short?
He really is.
He really is.
But
so he's tall.
Cool.
Steve Martin's taller than Martin Short, but not as tall as you.
Right.
He just needs a arrow through the head.
But do you know how different it is with a banjo?
How different
compared
it
to
is?
Guitar
playing
and stuff?
Yeah.
Is it a lot? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Oh, do I know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a.
If you have arthritis, you're screwed. Or a lot of
Yeah, the
spider work.
Yeah, I need to get that technique down, but I think that would be fun to pick that up. I used to try to get a new instrument every year on my birthday.
Saxophone days.
Saxophone.
Where he's like, hey, look, I love saxophone. And he played Careless Whisper.
That's right. I
think you even sent me a recording. It's just,
that's right.
See, I thought about getting back to the clarinet, and then Matt got like an electric piano.
Keyboard?
Yeah. Well, it is a keyboard, but it's a full 88. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I was thinking, I could pick up piano again. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Georgia, stop.
You don't do enough. Yeah, you need to do some more hobbies. All that free time you have.
Yeah.
You're getting paid so much, you might as well use it for something.
Just stop. Just
All right, so what's your shiny?
Shiny moment. Well, you read the first script for
Yes.
Yelly,
Yeah.
which was,
so where's that at?
We are at script 3. I'm well behind because I was so busy working.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, so now I get to focus on that. But getting that first script out was really nice. And it's interesting to see how each one has a different tone and tempo. Mm-hmm. So that one's like a nice intro.
Now, do they link up each episode?
Oh, no.
They're all.
The whole point of the podcast is really just folk tales and mythologies from other countries. Mm-hmm. So each one is very much its own unique story. And I was thinking, I'm trying to figure, I figured I'm going to need to start to decide on like how the music should be. And I'm trying to make sure that I book people who were naturally from these countries and have the right accent for it. I don't want to I'm very careful about how I should sound. Don't want to just have anybody. It's not that I mind everybody's performance. It's like I really want people who are actually from Africa to read the story, not just anybody.
What's his name? From
Paul?
Love and Lock.
Yeah.
When he was talking about their auditions they would get and say, please don't do an Australian accent.
You're not Australian, just don't do it.
Half of them would always be with Australian accents. I can't do an Australian accent, but I thought I'd do one anyway. It's just like, why?
Just do the character. And it's like, I don't really, I practice my African accent, and Lord knows, nothing like Black Panther to make you sit around. And still, you're sitting there going, how many regions of Africa do we have on screen right now, auditorily? Right. And it's fun to do, but I really want to make sure that I open up the space to people who are African and for whom these stories have real cultural meaning and connection.
Definitely, yeah.
Because I think that so the first one is The Cat Who Came In, and that's a Just So story. And if you don't know what a Just So story is, look it up. Really. And then I did the second one, and that one is The Snake Chief. And that's kind of in the vein of poor mother offers daughter to supernatural being she inadvertently offended, because she's hungry and taken from their garden or whatnot. And one of the interesting parts about adapting these folk tales is that they're great to read, and then you consider the implications of saying them now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
And you're just like, ma'am, did you just offer your daughter to some strange giant snake without just like, look, I'm scared. Here, why don't I just go home and give you my daughter? And you're just like, did you offer your daughter like she was a pie? What is that? Okay, let's change it up and let's have a little bit more agency on the part of the daughter because she's really silent, and let's give the mother a little more decency. Yes, because I hate to be mean, but it's like, mother,
what did you just
do? What did you do?
You did what?
Daughter, I don't want to shock you, but I kind of offered you to a bear. I mean, how many?
Or is it the
sending
the son off to military school? It's
like I offered you as a wife to a random talking animal that kind of got mad at me for pulling berries, and how often has that happened to us as parents? I mean, I'm sure at some point in your life.
Always well, we've been tempted, put it that way.
It's like, seriously.
Craigslist them or something, eBay.
Well, Owen, I'm sorry.
Great personality.
I ran afoul of a talking pigeon. He calls himself a pigeon prince, or she calls herself pigeon princess. And she's looking for a husband, and you know what? She was mad at me. I'm giving you.
You probably would, and he'd make it work.
You're like, I'd make it work out.
You can strangers, whoever they are, he'll make friends out of them.
So this one is actually much longer. The current one that I'm kind of stuck on that one, and it's
So you wait until you're kind of more ahead of the way before you start.
Yeah, I want to get at least 6 scripts together.
Makes
the
sense.
goal is once a month to have a set schedule. If it's too much to get everything done and do everything else I'm doing, then I'll drop it to 6. But it'll be bi-monthly, and then. But I have the list, and then the idea is that each year, I mean, it's called jelly, and it's actually an African word that's a griot, or storyteller. And the point of the story is it's a storyteller in a village. And she's talking to two kids, and she's bringing the first up, of course, stories of Africa. And the goal is either next year, it's either stories from China, and then the year after that would be Appalachia, Appalachian folktales, and each year is going to, hopefully, we have our artists who are from these countries, and also the music should be from people from these countries. So I want to be able to showcase not just the folktales as they were read, as they originally were written, but kind of update them and make them more.
And also that to show the actors performing them and whatever, if they have their own work that they do and things like that. Showcase them, which would be fantastic to see.
So, I mean, I think you saw the first art piece. Yeah. You read the first story, and you saw the first promotional art piece.
Yeah, that's right.
With the jelly that I shared. And that was actually not the pose I chose for the actual, but that one was one that she had sent, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to use this as a promo bit, and then there's a couple more pieces, so I'll release those as they get closer. So the highlight definitely was getting the first story completely written and feeling like I had
it's happening.
Yeah,
real thing.
Well, the beats in the story and the way how the language flowed, and I was like, yeah, that's right.
The more you do, the more it'll build and adapt.
And I think the one thing that's funny about it, which you would get, especially as a writer, is like each one is like you're really adapting somebody else's story, and then you have to find a way to both be true to the story and make sure your voice
your own.
And it's like so I'm pulling these folk tales, and it's like for some people they'd be like, well, aren't you just copying the story? And it's like, I'm actually not, because by the time I'm done with most of these stories, it's not that you can't see the original story in it. In some cases, I'm changing the characters' names. In some cases, I'm changing certain things. Like right now, for everyone who's ever read any Russian or European folk tales, where the princess is, of course, she's getting all these people she's trying to get married. They want to marry her. And it turns out, well, the evil witch is, giving her the ability to confound them and send them to their death. And this is one of those where, like, there's a couple of scenes where, like, oh, the friendly stranger who happens to be magically empowered, who helps our hapless prince, it's like behind her beating her with a stick in a couple of days, and I'm like, yeah. So let's see. We've got the girl that he's going to marry is actually kind of evil because she's sending young men to the doom, and we have Guy beating her with a stick. I'm not
going to go this way.
How does that work in 2019? I mean, I guess it's okay for 1819, but for 2019, let's not.
More relatable.
So I had to change
more entertaining.
Make it a little less abusey.
Less like
the
part of history we don't like to know about.
And also changing motivations, because so many of them, well, she's beautiful. I know she's in league with the evil witch.
Right.
I'll just save her by killing the witch. Yeah. She's still beautiful. I'm going to marry her, even though technically, why am I marrying her? Because she's beautiful, even though she was... Okay, wait, let me think about this. And it just makes you question a lot of stuff. And I was like, let's give our boy a little more agency. Let's make him a little more focused and make this a little less creepy. It's kind of creepy. And
not Disney-fied.
Not Disney-fied. It is not Disney-fied.
Somewhere in between the original ones.
In this current,
just more relatable.
Mm-hmm. And then this is an Arabic Malay story that I'm working on, and so I really focused on the culture, and I wanted to make sure that we had a strong parental relationship between the widowed Sultan and his prince, because I also feel sometimes like a lot of the important parts of the male relationships in folktales and fairy tales, dude, you're kicking your son out the house to go find a bride. I mean, maybe a little more thought. I'm just saying, just like maybe
not beating with the stick.
Yeah, and also with the beating of the stick. But you want. I wanted them to have a feeling of more connection. Mm-hmm. So that was a huge high point.
Cool. Mine was, as I was talking with Chris a little bit earlier, just like really fortunate to be ahead of the game as I am with Ostium right now, where I've got season 5 done. I'm starting to think about future seasons and other shows and all this stuff, and that it's come down to a lot of just, as you know, with you guys doing a lot of work, it's never letting go, just always being on top of it the whole time. And even though I have the option now to kind of kick back a bit, and if I want to take a vacation from work.
Do people who work for themselves really take vacations? Nope.
I was talking with Sarah Warren about this earlier too. It's like,
her work is like all over the place.
Well, her work ethic just like encourages all of us to like, well, we got to be like that then, because she's doing it, she's making it happen,
and she teaches people how to do it. And like I have her podcasting 101 stuff. I signed up for that one.
Oh, awesome!
And all that, and I was like, I'm going to download that to my phone so I can listen to that while I red eye at Telander.
Yeah, because that's amazing. Sure, yeah. And just that, and then also now being able to put sound off to the Hail and Well Met guys, I feel fortunate that I know these people and all you guys and just everything together to have the option to do that. And I'm consistently happy with where it's going, and it's a fun ride.
Yeah, so if you want to do podcasting, resources are important, and resources don't just mean equipment.
And talented friends.
Yes, suck up to the people that you want to
are musicians. Talented actors, have lots of equipment to use.
Willing editor.
Yeah, the place we're using here.
Right. Yes.
The Ostium Network Studios.
The Ostium Network Studios. My apartment clubhouse.
So don't have any questions.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Next is from Derek.
Derek.
How did you narratively decide on the original location for Ostium in California? Is that just an area that some or all of you guys and gals are from, and thus made the most sense to use as a starting scene?
Pretty much.
Well, I knew I wanted to do a fantasy type story, and with fantasy, you want to start by grounding yourself in something you know, and then you go to something alien and unknown. And so I started with, Bay Area, that's where I live and stuff like that. Let's go with that. And then I knew I wanted to set Ostium far away in the middle of nowhere. I did. And it was also coincidental you guys happen to live here, which is weird, huh? Should you want to look at that?
I know, it's illicit and shiny.
It's kind of like a clutch bag.
Do you have an outfit that fits?
No.
Are you the Billy Porter of Ostium? Because I want to see it. I want to see it glorious.
Some clothing line.
Well, he does have an outfit. He does have an outfit.
They did a
I think
special.
He should have a ball gown.
Did you hear about it? They did some special clothing line. They did a deal with the post office to do it. They also told us we cannot wear this as our uniform stuff, but. So that's what my wife got me. My wife got me this. She's like, I think you can use this for something, and it's very cool. It's even down to the barcode. I don't know if it scans, but it's not a real number on there, too.
No, it's not.
Because they couldn't do that.
I think you need a ball gown and some heels for that, baby.
So yeah, that's why I said it here, was because I was familiar with it, but then I also wanted to push it somewhere weird, so I grounded myself familiar. But you guys also live here because we're friends and we live close by.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that helps, too.
Thank you, Dwayne. Or Derek.
Derek.
No, thank you, Derek.
Dwayne's later.
We'll talk to him.
What's Chris's process for writing music?
What's my process for writing music?
How do you do it?
Yeah.
How do you start?
How do you start? That's a good question. So I write my music with software that sounds like an orchestra, and I usually start off by playing with the piano sound and try to find something, a chord change or a melody or something that I like, and then I ask myself, like, should it stay on piano or should I experiment with different orchestra sounds and things like that. So it's kind of.
Are you usually recording the whole time you're doing this too, or just?
No, I usually play, and then if
It's like a self-jam.
Yeah, basically. And if I come across something that I like, then I start recording and say, okay, and let me noodle around. So it's kind of noodling, but then refining, and then so you can get a piece that you think is good, starting to go in the right direction. You say, oh, I kind of like that a little bit, but I need to do more with it. So then I'll mix it down and put it on my phone. Used to be iPods or such, or Zooms when before that. And then I'll take it out in the car and like listen to it, and then it'll kind of build on itself, and I'll go, okay, oh yeah, I really like that, and that part really sounds like shit. So I'm gonna like.
Chris is really gifted at just being able to hear stuff and then figure it out on the keyboard or whatever, play it right from the spot, so you can literally hear that in your head.
And then it's like you start doing the copying and pasting like in your head when you're out and about, and so when you come back into the computer, you go, okay, yeah, that's the part, and then I'll do it again, and then I'll mix that down, and then again. Yeah, I really like how that's going, and that part is sounding more like shit.
Just take it out.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so it's a.
That saxophone just gotta go.
Yeah, what the heck was I thinking about saxophone on the
anti-woodwind?
Yeah, right. On that deep emotional moment there. Full Baker Street. It's refining, iteration.
Now then, for like, particularly the season 2 music you did, that was really good, that really instrumental stuff. Like, did you? Okay. Because that was like 10 pieces you did or something like that.
Yeah.
Were they kind of felt a little similar in some ways, where you kind of like pulling out of each of them, or did you want to like with each one where you're thinking of something completely new?
I'd never done something like that before, where I had multiple pieces that were all for the same project in that kind of way. So I think the first one I just found something I liked, and then it definitely felt like, okay, well I should do something that uses DNA from that.
Right. And then for the theme song, I remember we didn't have I didn't tell you to write a theme song. Remember?
Right.
I said you do music, and I said one of these pieces will stand out.
Yeah.
Theme song, which is why I did.
Right. That's Yep.
Is there a dream project you would like to work on? So this can be for Georgia, it can be podcasting stuff, but for you, it can be anything.
A dream project that I guess I would love to, do score a film, like a long.
Oh, cool.
Long
feature movie.
Yeah, feature. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay. Do you know music? Or just...
Whatever.
Are we talking like blockbuster or?
Sure, whatever. Whatever.
Do you want Alien? Do you want?
Yeah, I love Alien.
When Harry Met Sally? Do you want...
Actually, I think John Williams and then Jerry Goldsmith, who did Alien. Those were two of my big heroes when I was young. And I wish I had better training. I wish you're talking about languages, and I love languages too. I'm not fluent in any language other than English, but I can say a lot. I can say a little bit in a lot of languages, and I always feel that about music too. Is like I never took it seriously enough at the time when it mattered. Like when my concrete still wet. Right. And then you grow up and your concrete hardens, and then it's like, I should have learned that back then. And it's
there's always time to learn, right?
But you keep
the concrete is always kind of wet.
It doesn't appear that way. It appears like you had a really good.
I guess. But I guess maybe
you clearly know what you're doing. So
you
did something right.
Yeah. So I really love music and enjoy it, and it's going to be a lifelong hobby, if nothing else. So.
Okay.
You got a dream project?
My dream project? Wow. Getting Jelly off the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, you know me for a while, so it's like I have like that. I have an anime project that I've been working on forever. But honestly, I'd like a good storm movie.
Like The Perfect Storm?
No.
X-Men Storm?
Yeah.
Okay. With a perfect storm. No.
Sharknado.
Like I can't with almost every single X-Men movie. Nearly every single one has been cringy.
Right.
I mean, I like Logan as a story, but it really is an X-Men movie for people who don't read comics.
Right.
It's gritty and real. And it's like, I would love to be an assistant director on a Storm movie. Granted, I would even be like...
With Halle Berry?
She wasn't bad. It's just like she didn't have anything to do.
Right,
it was
exactly.
just dumb. If you see her in Wick 3, it's like
I think
obviously she's underused.
It's one of those things where it's like she's too powerful for this movie, so we can't really use her to her full potential because.
But that's all she did.
It's like Saeed on Lost. He was just too damn smart for the island. So.
I was just like, I would really like, like I would love to see a good Storm movie, Storm focused. And now that we've all had our hearts murdered by Avengers Endgame and that phase is over, it'd be really cool if we could get like a good X-Men movie. And don't talk to me about Dark Phoenix. that one I'm sure.
Is it out?
Yeah.
You saw it?
Yeah. No, I can't. I love that. I love that storyline. I'm a Chris Claremont X-Men person, and I stopped seeing X-Men movies somewhere around, like I think after Days of Future. No, after First Class. I was like, okay, maybe in a reboot, maybe a reboot will be right. And so I'm still waiting and waiting. So, I'm holding out a lot of.
Good job. You have other stuff to do.
Yeah. I'm still not disappointed by John Wick, but
okay.
I could work on John Wick. John Wick 4 would be great.
So this is from Dwayne. Was there a part of the storyline that was hard for you to record because of theme, or just that you didn't think your character would do something?
Oh man.
So you do Jake, no.
It was pretty hard for me to record that stuff about when Monica was manipulating Jake's brain. I kind of thought that was shitty. You're kind of a shitty girl, Monica. Oh, thank you.
I didn't do it. She just was the character. Just did it. Went down this way.
Look at what you made. Look what you made.
Did it for love.
Ooh, look what you made.
And she didn't know how she was getting it, so she was.
I'm still mad.
You got through it, and actually, Dwayne said, he wasn't sure about Monica, and even after all that, he still cares for her. So
I'm sorry.
Still.
Monica still sucks. I'm petty. Hope she stubs her toe.
Nothing that I think.
Nothing?
No.
It was all easy?
Well, nothing more difficult than other parts that I can remember.
Yeah. Wait till you get to season 5.
Yeah.
Well, what was difficult for you for writing?
For writing? It's never been... this is weird. Out of everything I've ever written, this is never... it's weird with this one because I've never had... Even when I've had scenes where, like, I think it's going to be a tough one, and then I sit down and write it, and it just, like... The characters just do their thing, and I was like, this is so great, and I never want to stop writing it. I never want Ostium to end because this is much fun.
Okay.
Cool.
Next.
And then with Dave, it's fun to use a bit of an English accent and make it work.
Make it work. Make it so.
What door? So we did this question years ago now about what door you'd like. Well, actually, this is more Jake or Monica to go through.
Wow. Jake or Monica.
So you go first. What do you think?
What door?
If they wanted a particular door.
Right.
Because we did our own doors as
Right.
IRL.
I don't know. I need some time to think about
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Dave, what Dave want?
This part we can cut.
Dave would probably want to go back to see his parents because they disappeared weirdly, and he doesn't really know why, and then he was all alone. So that's probably if we want to go back and see them.
I think Monica would just like a door out of here.
Back to normalcy.
I don't feel like Monica disliked working for Ostium until she saw what a cluster was going to turn into. And because I think, like anybody else who likes a challenge, this is definitely a challenge. I think the problem is, what the fuck did I get myself into? And
I did not see this coming.
And how do I get
the
myself?
mine was good, but not this good.
How the hell do I get out of it? I think she'd like to take that step back to her home, but I think that there's levels of complication with that because there's her time and there's no Jake. So what now? So I think that's the thing. That would be Monica's door.
So I'll be weird and say a revolving door. It doesn't actually go anywhere. It's purely in the moment. It's in the, you could go forever. You know, you're not going anywhere. You are where you are.
Yeah. It's a good cut-out, yeah.
It is a cut. It's a
Jake just
meditation.
wants a trip.
Yeah.
He just wants a brief.
He just wants a wild ride. Yeah,
yes, right.
He just doesn't want to be back in his cubicle.
He's a rolling,
San Francisco
he's a
or
rolling
that
stone.
place.
Wherever he lays his hat.
Is his home. Awesome. He's the boss.
It's my body cover.
Yeah.
Just for a second. Oh yeah, I put this one in. What is the Ostium network? Because I just wanted to clarify in case anyone's confused. So we've got Ostium the town with all of the doors that lead to wherever, which is also part of Ostium.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the Ostium network, the company, entity, big evil corporation that invented this system.
Are they evil? Are we sure?
If I get to write my 10-book sci-fi series, you will learn how fucking evil they are. So then that says you got the Ostium Network Corporation that invented the Ostium time-traveling door system. But then the website kind of also has the Ostium network of podcasts now, where we have Manifestations and Cersei, and more to come if anyone wants to do other stuff too. So I just wanted to put that out there, clarify that, clear it all out.
Big evil corporation.
Big evil corporation.
Well, it's actually just the guy at the top that's the evil one, which, if you remember, well, again, we can talk about this because season 4 is done, but he's kind of Jake, but evil Jake.
Damn it, Jake.
It's a different Jake. You can't blame him.
No,
But he did voice his line, so it was you too.
Jesus Christ.
Does he ever get to meet the fat man again, or did they get separated? Oh, Jake and the fat man.
Stop
it.
That. What is it?
Yeah,
80s or 90s?
If you want to write
It's mid 80s.
an Ostium file with that, we could totally, or
Oh my God.
little
Jake and
a
the
spin-off short.
Yeah.
You write it, and we'll do it.
Or Elwood, the Blues Brothers. Like you get all
No, we're not gonna have all the Jakes.
all the Jakes. The Giddis, the Chinatown. Yeah. The two Jakes. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna
All
return.
right, this is from Dave.
I don't
Have
remember
any
seeing
of
it,
Team
yeah.
Ostium watched the 90s sci-fi show Sliders?
Of course, I've watched
If
Sliders.
so, what are your thoughts?
I'm a major nerd. I've watched all of Sliders at least twice. I've even watched it when we dropped
own it
one.
too?
No, thank God. Girl needs to not own that. But yeah, I even watched it when we got rid of the original. I forgot what his name is, and replaced him with his brother. I was like, wow, we got the
Taking notes.
it's like I watched all the Sliders. The first 2 seasons are, of course, the best. It was always interesting to me that the Cro-Mags were like eating our eyeballs.
That was their delicacy.
Yeah. Did you ever see Sliders?
No, I've seen bits and pieces.
Okay.
Not really.
Yeah, Sliders. But yes, I have watched Sliders. I have watched Quantum Leap. Basically, if there was anything slightly odd since I was 5, I've probably watched it. I have spent way more time being raised by television screens than I should have, which explains many things.
Did you watch
I
it?
did not watch it. I'm aware of it. I
What
saw
is
sliding,
90s?
What?
sliding doors, eating a slider. And
Sliding Doors is also a movie.
yes, it is with
Very different.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Very
Yeah.
Oh,
different.
okay.
And
You
I
know,
have
it's-
made Sliders.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
Oh, so there is
It's a
Well, I think that you guys should have a little retro nerd night, and you
Yeah,
should
watch
enjoy
it.
some
Okay.
90s sci-fi.
Slide into
okay, yeah.
Watching Sliders.
Slash.
The
with
first-
Sliders.
And
The-
Jake and the Fat Man.
I have to say that the Sliders is the first 2 seasons really are very good. So, yeah, I do recommend them. And I don't know, some kid out there. That one and The Invisible Man. Yeah, I watched a lot of sci-fi back before they became siffy. They are.